Hey everyone, I am continuing on with my recording of my song This I Know. You've seen already in the past, hopefully, the setup of the project, acoustic and bass guitar. Now we're on to piano and just some other software sounds. So for piano itself, this is where I'm going to add in, either piano sound or maybe some keys sound, play it out, kind of see what works with the track best, and then I can look into adding other sounds, any sort of percussion sounds, strings, whatever may suit the project to really fill it out without being too over the top, without adding too much to it. You want to just find stuff that really complements the track and helps bring it all together into one complete sound. And after this foundation is laid, that's going to set us up to be able to give, hopefully, the best vocal performance that we can. So this is our kind of our last step before that happens. So I hope that you are excited to dive in with me today as we go ahead and jump into all things keys and software sounds. So let's do it. So I wanted to start off by just telling you that the hardware I use is this MIDI controller. It's the Native Instruments Complete Control S61 board. And now we're actually just going to go ahead and add our piano as our first instrument. So we're going to switch to the software instrument. I leave that empty channel strip option. And then this is going to automatically open up this window in Logic that shows you a bunch of different instruments. This window can be closed if you want by pressing this button here, but we're going to just go down to piano, and I like the sound of the Steinway Grand Piano, so that's what I'm going to be using today. And I'm going to close this window again. And I'm actually only going to run the piano for the same amount that I ran the bass. So it's going to start at this instrumental before verse 2, and then it's going to pick up in this bridge portion and drop back down for the ending of the song. So let's record some piano. So now that we've recorded the piano, I'm just going to balance this out like I did in the last video. So this is just to help make everything sound leveled off so we can continue to record other instruments. So now we're going to move on to our next instrument, which is our pad sound. It's the same software instrument. We're going to create that channel. And mine is set under user patches because I've actually created this myself. It's called Fast Pad, and all that a pad is just a synth that's going to sit and fill out the sound of your entire mix. So I am using this retro synth plugin that's native to Logic. These are all my settings here if you wanted to copy that. But basically I'm just using this as a drone in this song. So it's an octave E for the song that we're playing. I'm going to play that for you now, and then we're going to just duplicate this through the whole song. Okay, so now that that's recorded, we can actually go and do a bit of editing work. So if you double click the track that you just recorded, it opens this window. I can click select all in this and hit that little Q, and that little Q actually quantizes, which means it lines up the track for you in time. So now that that's done, you can see that those notes are perfectly in time. And then you can actually close with this little button at the top. That'll open that window up as well if you don't want to double click the track. But if you're clicked on the actual track itself, so this is Fast Pad, and you copy and paste that portion, you can do that all the way to the end of the song. And it doesn't matter if it's 100% accurate right now because we can adjust that later. You just want to approximately get to the end of the song, so it's running that same octave through the whole piece. I just joined that together to make it easier to handle. But it is essential to have that separation between the notes every couple bars, because if you click somewhere further along in the song, it's not going to actually trigger that sound again. It's going to just only trigger if you go to the beginning of the song. So you want to have those little divisions. Now I'm just going to balance that out so it's good with the rest of the song, and then move on to our next instrument, which in this case is going to be some strings. So there are some strings built within Logic that you can use. My preference is not to use them. I've actually got some other strings that I like to use. So if you go into the channel settings here, you can see that I've got this Spitfire BBC orchestra that I like to use, the symphony orchestra. So I will open that. I will open the Celli patch, and I will use that in its long setting to do our next recording. So now that that's been recorded, I actually want to add a little bit more to this bridge, and I want to stick with that string sound. So I'm going to add a solo violin. And for this particular one, I'm going to actually use one of my native instruments. And these ones, they actually have a really nice collection of solo instruments that have been sampled really, really well. So I'm going to be using this violin here, and I'm going to set it to its sustain bowed patch. So you can see that that's highlighted there now. And let me just record that for you. And then I'm going to record a viola as a harmony for that part as well. Alright, so I'm really liking the sound of that. I'm just going to go and rename all of these tracks here because you can see they just were saying instrument, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I want to make sure that I know what they are when I go to mix. So I'm just adding the names in here for them all at this point. The next thing I want to do is just fill this bridge out a little bit more by adding in some drums. My go-to drum kit in Logic is this Brooklyn kit. I think it sounds really good. So let me do some drums now. Alright, so I really like that. I had noticed that my tracks were actually labeled by the track on the side, so they all say like track 3, 4. If you highlight everything and you left click and click that name regions by tracks, it renames them all to match the tracks on the side, so it just keeps everything a little bit cleaner when you're looking at it. I also noticed that I'm clipping on my stereo out, my master fader, so I want to just add a few things to kind of help this at this point in time, and it's just because there's so many things in the recording now. So this is a Waves compressor, the SSL comp, and I'm just going to show you my settings here, which is going to help just control a bit of that master sound that's coming out of my recording. And then I'm also going to add the Waves limiter. It's called the L316, and this has an option to set an out ceiling, which means that your total mix won't go above that amount. So I'm going to set that to 0.5, and then you'll notice when I play the bridge, which is the loudest part of the song, that it'll keep that master fader at a max of 0.5. So I balanced everything out, and now I'm going to show you just a few parts of the song for you to enjoy. Alright, so there you have it. Our keys are done. Our other sounds are all figured out. We are ready. Our track is prepared to jump into some vocal recording. So I hope that you are excited to see that with me, that this has been an enjoyable video for you, just seeing my process and working through what I use and how I go about laying down these tracks for one of my own recordings. And I just appreciate you being here watching these videos with me. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, love you guys.